with services procurement. What do you think what would you imagine are the key things that are holding them back?
How to articulate to a budget holder, senior leaders, on what is available in the market to actually solve that problem. It's quite daunting. I think it doesn't matter how senior you are, it's really daunting trying to bring someone along a journey that you might have in your head, you might have a PowerPoint presentation, but until you can actually articulate properly for that business, not for someone else's business, but for yours, how that's going to impact and drive a benefit, no matter what benefit that is. We've spoken about compliance, cost, savings, and all of that. I think it's just starting the conversation. And if I was to give my 2 pennies worth for it, it's having a conversation with yourselves, for example, and going, right, this is my problem statement. How you've got experience with multiple companies putting this in place. What have others done? And I'm all for using people in a nice way, obviously, for their expertise. We all don't know everything, and egos should not be part of this whatsoever. And it's really trying to understand what your status is now. And I think that's sometimes even quite hard to articulate because it can be quite daunting. Lots and lots of noise. Your spend, and then you're going, but I don't know what all of them do. So it is starting with that. What's your need? What's your bucket? Why do you buy services? Is your organisation basically don't want to get loads of permanent people? Do they want to go down the contingent worker route and have them sitting in your team? Or do you truly need it outsourced and deliverable based? And then once you can start to carve that up as a landscape through your organisation, you can then go, okay, Johnny, right, it's time for a chat. How are we going to use technology to aid us in getting clarity, compliance, a better relationship with our supply chain, a better relationship with your stakeholders? Don't forget, they love it when we know as a procurement person what they do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think there's some great advice in there, and like you say, it's getting started. I like the way you put across that kind of like segmenting the landscape and understanding that that kind of current status setup. And like you say, it's understanding what's available in the market in terms of the various different technology vendors that there are that are addressing or crossing over with this space, and also understanding the service provider landscape as well, where more of the kind of traditionally like workforce solutions companies or staffing organizations are bringing in specific procurement expertise. In some cases, specifically services procurement SMEs to help them, which is fantastic to see. Because obviously they're making that transition from looking after the contingent workforce side of things for organisations to then starting to say, okay, well, we can actually help you with your services supply chain. It is different. They'll use different processes. They'll use different expertise. They'll use different technology in a lot of cases. But it can be done, as is evidenced by what you guys have achieved. And I think it is a real opportunity because companies, why would they, take on a service, an external service to help with this side of things? Well, there's a lot of compliance and there's a lot of moving parts to it, and procurement teams are pretty lean. So if you bring in a service provider who's also underpinning it with technology, then that can really get you off the ground and get you moving and allow the procurement team to do what they need to do. So I think it feels like that awareness of what service providers are there out there, how can they help you, what technology is available in the market to try and solve these problems. And then it's not going to be a one size fits all. For each organisation, they can look at what's going to work for them. But that's why I think these sort of conversations, hearing what you've got to say, is so important, because it's just making people aware of the fact that there are solutions out there.
100%. Go to roundtables, go and speak to peers in the industry, use LinkedIn. It's knowledge gathering. The more you know, the better you can articulate and the better choices you can make, because you're right. One size does not fit all. I know that entirely is 100% correct. And I'm lucky that we have found a solution that means that we can be agile against our requirements. But yeah, it is about just getting out there, listening to podcasts, and really sort of understanding, like you say, what is out there, what's the art of the possible.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. I'm so pleased to see more voices in the market now, more people talking about this and articulating it, and just, you know, people, if people can come together and discuss the problems that exist around it, that's, you know, hugely beneficial. And, you know, in some cases you look at those type of conversations, it's quite therapeutic for people, because people sometimes are sitting there in their organization maybe feeling slightly isolated, feeling like, oh, we're the only ones with this problem, this is a complete mess, or this is this how do other people have these problems? And actually recognizing that these are problems that exist in most organizations, and obviously every organization is slightly different, but these are problems that exist across the board in what I see. So I think just having these peer-to-peer conversations, it just opens up that potential for people to think, okay, there's an opportunity to address this.